Or I'm moving too fast? See, I'm... Yeah. I love it when the signer shacks back at me. But the reality is, I'll try and slow down, Lucia, but I tell you, there's a fire in my butt this morning that just needs to get out. I did not see the sign for that, and I don't want to see it. Okay, we're all back together. Let's get back together for a second. Showing up in life. Showing up in life. There are many, many things that can depress us. Many, many things that can weigh us down. But there's a thing in our lives, in our bodies, that can wake us up in the morning. And that is knowing that we have the power to change things, and the power of that truth that liberates us and gives us the opportunity to change things for ourselves. The power and the glory. I want to tell you, sisters and brothers, that something happens when you start to really live this prayer out, is that there's suddenly a glory that happens in your life that's not about people just honoring you. It's not about people coming up and saying, oh, aren't you wonderful? I mean, much as we love to hear that in our, we'd like to be liked, and we'd like to feel that sense of affirmation, and we in many ways we seek it out in so many different ways. But the glory that I think Jesus talks to us about is that glory of knowing that we're in the right place at the right time. I think the glory that Jesus talks about for us is the glory of just being about our lives, about being about service, about being about doing the things that we know to be truth for ourselves, about living from that place of value, about keeping on that path, about keeping on that journey. There's some glory that happens that even when people want to condemn you for it, that you just know you're on that path, and you know that you're doing the right thing, and nobody can take you off, left or right. There is some glory in knowing that. I don't know about you, but there's some peace in knowing that. That peace that really sits with me in my life. And I tell you, I'm not perfect. I mean, really. Reverend Barbara, if that had come out of Carlos's mouth, I would have understood. Oh boy. When's your review? No. But the reality is, I'm like everybody else. I'm on a journey with you all. But I tell you something about when I know I'm doing the right thing, even when people say I'm not, or I'm crazy, or you shouldn't be, there is some glory in that moment. Because it's at those moments that I've known that I've been so in tune with God, and so in tune with God's purpose, and so in tune with that power and that glory, that it just feels like things are moving in the right direction. It's amazing. It's amazing as we stop to think about this prayer. The power is about truth. The glory is about life. It's about living it. Not being overwhelmed by it. And knowing that when you are overwhelmed, there's sisters and brothers around you who just come alongside you and lift you up. I know that even in my closest circle of friends, their lives are feeling like they're disastrous and overwhelming. And yet it's at those moments that we can come alongside one another and say, come on, life is still worth living. Life is still life. Life can still move forward, and you may not be able to do it today, but I can come alongside you and I can lift you up this morning just like Jesus did. I can lift you up. And you know what happens about that is when you do that for somebody else, when you're at your lowest, somebody else comes alongside you and lifts you up. That's the power and the glory. It's the power and the glory of knowing Jesus in our lives. It's the power and the glory of acknowledging that there is a presence, there is a power greater than ourselves, that's not separate from ourselves. Hear me very clearly. This is not a God who's separate from us. This is a God who indwells us. This is a God who's present in us. We were not called the temple of the Holy Spirit for no reason. We were called the temple of the Holy Spirit because Jesus now is in us. If we follow Jesus Christ in our lives, that's what it is. The power and the glory. But what does that mean? What that means is that you and I need to make a decision about whether we're going to follow or not. You and I need to decide for ourselves whether we're going to welcome that Spirit into our lives. You know, one of the great things about Jesus is Jesus doesn't force God on us. Culture forces God on us, but Jesus doesn't. Jesus invites us to the table, invites us to power, invites us to glory, invites us to see truth in our own lives, invites us to look at ourselves and see the things that need to be changed, invites us to see the world and see what needs to be changed. But God doesn't force us. It's something that we willingly surrender to. So this morning, as we remind ourselves, as we bring this prayer to a conclusion, the power and the glory forever and ever, I focus very, very briefly on those last two words, forever and ever. And that is that when we make the decision, it's a decision that we can make forever and ever, but it's a decision that we need to make every day, every moment, every second. The promise is forever, but the decision is a minute-by-minute decision of our journey with God.